Danish guys, remember, German ping still exists, right? And they get pre-edited. Fredoxy gets caught out. If Fredoxy can escape there, there's probably a good chance he stays alive, but his teammates had both sort of moved into the boxes next to them, and it was a bit unfortunate there. So, again, I'm not worried too much about this team. Again, the setup in this game was a lot better, but, you know, sometimes you're on congested side, you get pre-edited, you're up against some Germans, and it doesn't work out for you.
You sound like someone on Twitter now. Like, I can just imagine Fredoxy's taken to Twitter already. He was like, it was ping, guys. It was ping. Let's take a look at the standings, though, because this is an interesting one. Obviously, it's consistency and victory royales, 5 victory royales, and then the top 5 beneath that will be going through. We haven't really had a chance to talk about some of these trios, though. Bahawa, Kaisers, and Maciak, I guess they're just having a balanced game and not quite make it to the final 2, Mini.
Yeah, they've had a 2nd and a 6th so far, so pretty solid performances. Haven't seen too much firepower from them. Haven't seen anything that's going to make me think, oh yeah, they're going to come and take this next game by storm. But it's these sort of teams that can sort of take you by surprise a little bit, you know, making their consistent games happen.
I love that I was just like, they haven't made it to any top 2s, and Minnie's just like, they've made it to a 2nd.
Yeah.
But you didn't shame me there, I've just shamed myself. Interestingly, in that last game, it was one of these kind of lesser experienced trios who did take that high ground. We saw Julie and his teammates up on top. Was it just getting unlucky with the mats here, Levin?
Well, they invested a lot of mats to take height, and this is a team who, you know, it's going to be a tough lobby for them because they're contested, and if they were uncontested, initially I was looking at a map of this lobby and they were uncontested, and I was like, these guys are a sneaky team who should be able to qualify through. But when they don't have as many opportunities to have games, they're going to go for the gambit, right? Meaning, like, a lot of the times, if you know you don't have plenty of games to play with, when you get an opportunity to take height, you're just going to take it. And so they invested a lot of materials, they ran out of steam, and they lose height as a result of it. So hopefully we can see them maybe in those situations look to be a bit more aggressive on the refreshes.
Yeah, it was difficult for them there because I think 2 different teams tried to take height at almost the same time. We had Teeny on there as a solo as well, causing havoc. So it was difficult for them when you don't have as much experience on height for them to actually find success. But as you mentioned, they're going to need to make those games count. So we'll see what they can do for the rest of the day.
Well, we have got 3 more games to go before we wrap up the action for Group 1. Are there any trios that you haven't seen inside the top 10 that you're surprised by? I know we got the return of Refsgaard. Didn't necessarily have the best start to the lobby, but is he someone you're expecting to go up the numbers as we head through these games, Evan?
Yeah, potentially, man. Shout out to Refsgaard, I guess. We're back in Refsgaard now.
We are. We should be backing Refsgaard. We don't want him to retire again, boys. Come on, Refsgaard, we got your back, and we also got game number 3 ready to go. So let's head to Jakarta and Taco.
Thanks, Frankie. Look, I got faith for Refsgaard, okay? He's in 16th place now, I believe. He started off not too strong going down off spawn. So, you know what? It's still possible. But it always surprises me how quickly these games go through in the group stage. And we're already ready for game 3, so let's get right into it.
And it really is impressive how quickly the lobbies can just be burned through Takata. It's almost... It's kind of a mental game right now for a lot of these players because you obviously want to see if you can find that victory royale, take your best shot, but even if you don't get that game win, you can still play for the consistency metrics. And a handful of our teams today not really able to lock in that consistency. Demon's Domain will be left alone though.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about consistency, that was so Ghost Hyper and Jewel, who, you know, they were just talking about them on the desk about their high ground performance, was the team contesting Demons. So I'm wondering if they kind of saw that bright light with high ground. They're like, we're so close. We don't want to go down again in the early game, deciding to switch up their drop. But I don't know if that's going to be the play. I mean, they're in 13th now. I think they were more kind of playing for that win. So we'll see what ends up happening, where they ended up dropping. But Refsgaard, Skyjump, Momsy, once again, contesting in Crime City. They got the off-spawn win in the previous match, the back-to-back. I don't know if it's going to be possible, hopefully. But we'll see.
Rax over by Resistance base, trying to see if they can find some early trades on the surge tags. Does pan out slightly in his favor. A little bit of trouble brewing though elsewhere. Alba and her team trying to see if they can find this collapse. Island just runs by and is immediately punished. Ego now left to try and fight back, but Props will be found as a return fire. And this is getting messy now for both of these teams. It seems like neither side has really profited too heavily off of this one. But now it could be down to Kedadim, Power, to decide who's going to take it here, keep their pride going for their team. But Kata just doesn't want to go for that initial shot just yet. Kind of backing up, creating a little bit of space. Maybe trying to see if they can find that final finish. And sure enough, that's going to put Power to have to commit to a decision now. Do I continue this fight, or do I just try to play for the reboots?
Take the 1v1, you know.
Well, he gave too much time now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he gonna let him pick up his teammate? Might have just done it. We'll look at the fight here at Crime City. It looks like Refsguard has an elimination, so they have the upper hand in the 3 versus 2. Looking at the minimap, I don't see any potential third parties this time around, so looks like they have the opportunity to close it out once again.
It's the early conclusions that Refsguard's team is after. Skies is a great initial elimination, but he can't seem to find that opening. Refsguard gonna be dropped though. The low ground has to retreat, lost his shield entirely. Skydrop and Momsy though, plenty healthy enough. They're gonna get the return fire now onto Skies. Telio also getting lit up along the way. Refsguard knows he's got nothing left in the tank, and he'll get that final elimination. And these quick conclusions, though, is exactly what we need to see the repeat circumstances of. Last game, they were able to also find that quick conclusion. Same can't be said, though, for Helva and Kedadim. They finally take out the team that was initially contesting them, but now they have to deal with Noya, Kovacs, and Kolb, who are just substantially too healthy. This is going to be a very easy third-party chase down for them.
Yeah, I mean, not much you can do. Mist forms, got the dashes, got everything to chase down your opponents. Now, we're seeing a lot of success in this early game, but converting that early game to success to the late game is kind of what a lot of these trios have been lacking. So it seems that Ghost, Jewel, and Hyper have decided to go Flooded Frogs. This is where, at the start in game 1, where Vanya's trio qualified from, they said, okay, you know, let's go to that spot, see if it's contested, uncontested, and for now, it seems to be working out for them because, you know, they're all 3 up. It seems like they have a good amount of loot. But now you have to fight against the top trio coming in from the play-ins, which is Pablo, Chino, and Ferdoxy. But they have had some issues, you know, staying up as a trio. You saw the stat that Pablo has been clutching out an incredible amount of solo points, but this isn't a solo FNCS taco. This is trios. So hopefully this time around, we can see the full trio in action.
But they've made it a little bit further each lobby. Just a couple of unexpected encounters really catch them off guard. Chuck and Azat might add to the spoiler party here for Ferdoxy's team. They don't realize that they're getting third party. They're still trying to take this pick-up engagement with Jewel, Ghost, and Hyper. And now, red alerts. No, Chuck actually might be able to get this sneak up onto Ferdoxy.
Oh no.
This is a dangerous place to be right now.
Yeah, this would be a tragedy if Ferdoxy gets picked up like this. It could be anyone though. As it seems like, are they even disengaging? I'm not sure if it was like a calculated disengage or maybe like, you know, we're taking too much time. Haven't hit a big shot off. It's just too risky at this point. And that kind of like spidey sense was perfect timing, as they might not have even known the third party was here, but now they're gonna know, as both trios have exited on their own path.
I'm sure they're probably recognizing the fact that the shots being fired don't belong to them. Still, not the heads-up win that you'd be hoping for. Gudenbree's team, on the other hand, they're able to find a couple of early eliminations. Outskirts of the map positions, though, you've still got to make your way into the zone. Cade, Rickborn, and Gudenbree, they really wanted to get that chase out and find a confirmation on those early eliminations. This doesn't surprise me at all to see, though, Outpost having a little bit more action early on, given that Vidil, Cringe, and Volko just qualified to finals from that last lobby win. But one of these teams is kind of got to set your foot down, right? If you want to be the team to kind of claim that opened up position.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes more than just one game, as we saw from Ghost, Hyper, and Jewel. Took them now until the third match to actually go to Flooded. I wonder if anyone even went there in the second match. But so far it is a kind of a waiting game, an angles game. They have zones so close by that, you know, they have the time to spend. Here it is.
Falling off, though, not even realizing Bendy's not going to be the first to fall, though. Crazy exchange to start things off, but it's actually Lethal paying the price currently. Faded, if he's not careful, might be in a very precarious position here, but Faded will manage to create a little bit of a gap. Lethal loses Sony now, just left as a duo. But this is a really awkward angle that he's trying to find onto Faded. Gets behind him, but still can't manage to fully break through these builds. The supportive measures being taken by Faded's team right now, a little bit too impactful here. And Lethal now completely separated from his other teammate. They've got to reunite and try to play this one out together.
Yeah, there's some impressive counter shots by Faded's trio, to be fair. They got kind of surprise attacked, but still were able to connect high damage pump shots, kind of pushing them to the upper hand of this fight. And now, not only did they want to pick up one, they wanted to finish this off. 3 more eliminations now on the board. Quick 9 points, quick refresh. This is perfect for them going forwards.
Those aren't the only teams getting stuck in some of these early game battles. Owl, Quicks, and Snowzy. That's a nice opening knock onto Antoine, but even with that being said, still enough surrounding members to make this one difficult to close in on. Owl loses Quicks, but finding Nade means that they'll be able to play for that double revive, and Kenro gonna see just what kind of damage can really do, but he knows. Left by himself, opened up the wall, and that was just a given that he'd be Elim shortly after.
For Hawa now. Pretty calm. They've got loot, they've got mats, they've got kind of everything they need here. All you got to look out for at this point in the match is damage. It's kind of risky to play fully on congested side, you know, if you're thinking about how to rotate in these lobbies. You know, ideally, you want to run into the least amount of people as possible in theory and get the best position, but sometimes the best position won't open up a lot of opportunities to get that damage. So if you're looking for a primed up position, you want to make sure you have a good amount of eliminations or damage before that. And if not, the prime position for you might be looking at the congested side. For Doxy, Pablo Chino now. It's been an interesting run for them so far in these first couple matches. They do very good in the early game, but kind of fall off and crumble in the mid to late game, leaving Pablo as a solo both times. So hopefully this time around, they not only find that success here, but also continue with that momentum throughout the rest of the match.
I think it's also just been the fact that they've just been caught kind of off guard by teams just hunkered down in cutoff moments for their rotates. I think that's a big part of the reason why they seem to be trying to clear out space before they actually make their move forward. They know these are teams that are already hurt. They've been in these outskirt positions fighting for a while. We can just play cleanup crew, essentially, as Chino now making the approach, getting 2 separate angles. This is what makes it so devastating to try and fight into Prodoxy's team, though. They're just all so strong at taking these separate angle engagements. Chino, though, not the shot that he was hoping for. Trying to get that angle and instead loses a little bit of his HP for it, but Prodoxy still on the other end of things with Pablo looking to try and collapse onto Azza and his teammate. Overhead, though, they've got to be real wary. All these shots drawing some attention.
Yeah, you can see the attention you were talking about on the bottom right in the mini-map. Full trio getting closer, but Prodoxy just needs one big shot to connect, but once again, he goes down, full on eliminated. A perfect opportunity for the trio hunting them down to go on in, it's actually going to be Hyper, Ghost, and Jewel. So you wouldn't expect them to have a set plan for this part of the map, you know, switching their drop to flooded, but a third party can happen anytime, anywhere. And once they find out that there's not a single full trio, it's going to allow them to kind of play that extra aggressive play style.
This is about to be bad news bears for one, if not both of those teams, though. Chino and Pablo, they know that we've been here entirely too long. We need to just get out. On the other hand, though, Ghost, Hyper, Jewel, they've already found one knock. They're just going to chase out Mithrofan for the other. And Ghost finally coming to a slight lull there just because they were getting tagged from a different direction entirely, but that's kind of all that was needed. Duo situation, very easy for a full team to chase down, especially when they had such an upper hand in positioning.
This is looking good, actually. From last game where they got height, but just crumbled when it was contested, running out of materials. Now, hopefully, they can have a better shot at it. They're kind of set up for it. Sinet, Nafrizi, Wheat, on the other hand, I mean, this trio has been playing incredibly safe, so I'm curious to see how much damage they actually have. 68 players up.
It's definitely awkward, though, for teams that are having to invest time looking for the reboot moments in comparison to trios like Nafrizi's that are already kind of just rolling through, trying to get established in good areas where they can see who else is approaching and also maybe try and prevent them from coming their direction. Giras, Frenek, Dinas, though, inside of Utopia City. They've got elevation, but clearly other teams in the area taking notice of where they boxed up at.
Taking a look at Skyjump. Oh, Fred is actually back in the game now with Chino and Pablo. It's gonna be Momsy on the other end. You never really want to get into a fight after rebooting with, you can see the gray shotguns, low amount of mats, low amount of heals, but Skyjump, Momsy, and Refscard I don't think are in the best position either. They did have basically all of Crime City, though, so they should be looted up. They already have those initial 3 eliminations. I don't think they want to take any more risks.
Never hurts to try and find more surge, but Chino nearly had an opening opportunity there onto Momsy. Now Momsy and Skyjump, they're just gonna begin their dash, rotates away. This is a big win, though, for Ferdoxy's team, that they're not gonna have to deal with that pressure any further. Teeny, Svi, and Trulex. Same can't be said for them. The team's clearly wary of the direction that they're headed. They try to cut across Utopia City, kind of hovering more towards that low side, hoping that that natural map terrain is going to provide enough coverage away from Frenek and Co.
Quick Elam. Now the zone has pulled opposite side of the map, though. It looks like it is going more east, so Kashi and his trio are going to have to focus more on the rotate here than the trios and players around them, which is Rax and Belusi. Ooh. That does not look too good, Taco.
Could just be that losing Zangi, that might have been the one holding on to most of their surge, but Rax gonna take that shield crack as his green light to get active. Firen immediately shuts that dream down, though. Rax eliminated. It is exclusively down to Belusi to turn this one around, and that's just not gonna be the case. Kashi, Relvis, and Firen fighting back. That is a big win for them, though. 2 really nice refreshes there.
2 really nice loot llamas coming their way. Quick one-day delivery. Ghost, Hyper, Jewel. I'm excited to see how they play out this late game. Always curious to see, after switching drops, how they're able to do, but so far, so good. This is where it gets a bit complicated, though. They are going to refresh their dashes with that dash sprite, and once they see where this zone ends up pulling, hopefully make a play towards it, but Chino, Ferdoxy, and Pablo They have damage, but they are not in a great situation. That reboot really put them behind in terms of positioning, in terms of loot, materials. They are going to have to rely on a refresh, but with the amount of damage that they were able to do in the play-ins, with how dominant they've been fighting throughout this season, wouldn't be surprised if they're able to pick one up.
Between 2-tick zones and being underneath damage or search threshold, Loki, QB, Sangil, just scrambling to try and come up with some sort of damage. Instead, it's going to be Sangil losing his life here. That's first elimination of the trio. Saya, Ricky, Zada doing what they can just to maintain this established position on the hill, but even they know they want to get out of here. They don't want to get caught in last-second congestion on this next rotate. They're going to be headed straight into the heart of the rest of the lobby, it seems like. So QB, the last one left from his team, just trying to get in, but everybody else just cutting him off, and it's just not going to be possible. Chino, Pablo, and Fredoxy, seemingly the final boss as teams try to make this crossover through Utopia City.
Never really liked the water in these final zones. I mean, it's fun to watch, but as a player, it's not as enjoyable. At least there's a good amount of mobility this season, so you can get the job done. You can see a lot of the players kind of choosing to be based up on the ridge or just anywhere that's a bit elevated. I want to see more from Shark, Blaha, and Comeback in this match. Our eyes have been on them, but still waiting to see some big plays coming from them. Now being just 12 above, they're kind of on the edge here. Good news is so much vision that they have those options to get that damage, but this is going to be a tough zone.
An initial hiccup, though, for Fredoxy's team, having to play for that reboot, putting a little bit of a damper in their initial rotational plan. So now they're caught, stuck inside all this very layer congestion, and Gino, Fredoxy, Pablo trying to keep their wits about them, but they're just taking shots from every direction. And now Gino just trying to misform back to the top, see if he can reunite with his team. Fredoxy, the healthiest one out of the three, forced into the water, forced to ultimate low, hoping that nobody sees him, because Chino not able to escape. Pablo, he's danced around for so long, but he's not going to be able to withstand the lobby pressure either. And now Fredoxy can play that medkit if he wants to buy a little bit of time playing from backside of zone, but this is looking like a rough journey right now.
You know, at least it's not Pablo having to solo clutch it. We got Fred now. Issue is, he's got no mats, but a quick shot is going to be enough to pick up the siphon. The issue is a whole other player goes down. He's going to get, what, 22 HP, 1v2, no mats at that point. It's only so much you can do. Ricky is going to finish that up, and now continue on forwards.
It's not like it really left them in all that great of a position, though. Maciak for Hawa, Kaisers, they're set up nice and pretty. I'm gazing over at where Kolbnoya and Kovacs are at separate height approach.
Ooh.
Oh, and nearly getting a nice shot there with the DMR. Like this wraparound rotate, though. Use this cliff face as a little bit of natural next edge of zone. Committing a lot of hard material, though, to this tarp out. Just trying to claim as much space as he can. And fully depending on his team to potentially find the next opening. If they can just clear out one or two elims, that could set themselves up for their next rotate.
Really good now. The pressure's on with 75, now up to 124 below. The Storm Surge taking. Meds being split up, players below them, they know. All they need are a few shots to connect here. Blaha's been fully cracked. Don't want to use all your heals here, but they've been low for the past couple zones. They've been unable to get a good amount of damage, so now is when the pressure really is on.
But they're just 6 below here, Takada, and low ground is going to be the best spot for them to try and find a straggler or two, get a good connecting shot. Shark finds piece of one. Maciak gonna lose his shield entirely as Shark now closing in. Maciak also suffering from this surge thick damage. That's another trio just in so much trouble here, but Combat can't escape. It's just a cluster in the low ground. Shark now trying to get overhead. Perhawa gonna be the only one playing out his medkit, but with the surge thick damage to boot and the lobby focus, he's just trapped behind everyone else.
Just too much focus. It's way too difficult to make yourself hidden in these moments. Borhauer, though, has somehow made it into zone almost. 15 HP as the med kit's gonna be popped. No, all the metal builds. I don't know if he's gonna have enough time. The miss, though, is gonna give him just a bit more heals as he runs on in. Somehow has done it. The issue is just a handful of builds left. Runs into a full trio. Rickbor on the other end of the door, and it looks like Hyper, Jewel, and Ghost, they might look for this high ground early on once again.
This is the right intention, too, for Jewel, Hyper, and Ghost. Last lobby, they had hype. The issue was they just ran too low on material by the time they started getting challenged by other teams for that height take. Blaha underneath has the misform, get himself forward, but with no materials, he has to find an immediate knock. Will pick up 3 builds along the way, but needs to see if he can find this solo directly underneath him. Knows that there's a member there, but so does Ogre. He's not trying to give him a chance. Blaha, 1 build is all that remains. If he doesn't find this next elimination ASAP, Takada, he might not even have the HP to try and play with it for much longer.
I kind of like the position. The issue is there's a lot of trios close by, and that's not what you want to run into as a solo, as Blaha's now thinking of his options. 1 build on the board, cooldown running low on that misform, is going to be able to use it as he puts himself not fully ahead of zone, but in a great position here actually to withstand just a bit longer. Sened is gonna go down. 1 quick pump is all that it took. The refresh comes through now. He has the mats, but unfortunately, Ref's guard is gonna finish it.
The dangers of playing backside of zone. You forced to give away your position when you're just looking for any kind of refresh. Good pickup though for Refs. Gonna give him a little bit more material to work with. Doesn't have a time or any sort of relief. Height spraying down into where he was just at. And that's the kind of control that you need to see from the team on height. You want to punish these players in the lower layers. It's Kovacs, also solo. Just so many teams losing a member or 2 along the way. And Resguard just found another big elimination, but unfortunately spotted out and will finally meet his end in this lobby.
Good amount of eliminations. Looking very bright for Ghost and his trio up above as well. They weren't able to hold on to height last game. Now they have another shot at it with just 8 trios up and running. They're getting closer and closer to being able to close this one off. So many solos doing what they can. Rickbor goes down. Skavi with a huge pickup now, doing what he can for Trulex and Teeny as the medkit's gonna come through. A bit of heal off as Jewel now has to decide, okay, are we gonna play this heal off? Are we gonna drop down? Are there any teams on second height that are looking to contest us? How do we end up winning this match?
That could be a big pickup for Firen, but unfortunately, Duag looking to shut that one down. Dommel jumps in, but that was a little bit too aggressive there. Kashi, Relvis, Firen immediately taking full advantage of those last-minute jump-ins, but Hyper going back overhead. This is going to make things really difficult now for Kashi and Firen to withstand the pressure. Big refreshes. Dandabuzo and Howley somehow still skirting by in this low ground, and so much loot in the backside of the zone.
The fight for height begins. Firen, is he going to be able to hold on to it? Looks like it wasn't even much of a fight at all. They instantly gave it up, but actually, they're looking for the chop down. Just 2 more builds connected. Hyper, can you do it? The chop comes through as now the trio up above is going to fall down. This battle means everything. They have to be careful with the players down low. They could disrupt this initial challenge, but it looks like Kashi and his trio are going to continue holding on to the high ground.
Nobody has any materials. Finally, Hyper takes out Howley. That Cypher material could be the ultimate difference maker here. Takada, team on height, still looking to see if they can play this to their advantage. They're going to finally get chopped out. Kashi, though, immediately loses Relvis and Firen, but he can't withstand it. Jewel take over at the very last second. It was so down to the wire here, Takada, but high ground ultimately paid off.
They got the job done. From Demon's Domain in game 1, Ghost, Hyper, Jewel, they were contested. They said, you know what? We got high ground in game 2. We weren't able to close it off. Let's play it safe for this next match. We'll land Flooded Frogs. We'll play for height once again. You can see exactly how they ended up overtaking it. And this time around, they did actually run out of the materials, but it was in those final moments where all they had to do was take that 3 versus 3 and being able to land their shots, being able to come out on top is what granted them that spot in the EU Major 3 finals.
Everybody had to essentially win their runs, and that's exactly what took place for the most part here. Jewel was just on fire with that unstable yoink. The benefits of having that exotic at the last moment there could not have been a bigger thing to witness, Takata. But of course, that's not the only thing we saw. We've got our lovely Des to take it from here.
All I'm saying is, guys, you gotta ribbit to win it, because there is something about Flooded Frogs that makes winners this season of Fortnite. Levin, how did you feel about that win from Julian team? Because this is more of a rookie team compared to some of our other trios, but they showed that high ground take before wasn't just a fluke, and actually it was something they could make good on in the end.
Yeah, this time around, right? I feel like they managed the situation a lot better, didn't they, Minnie? They didn't have as many threats in terms of people going for it, but they applied the pressure needed to hold on in the crucial moments.
Yeah, and I think when the team did decide to try and jump up and try and take height off them, they sort of gave it up a lot better. They didn't try and fight it. They understood their situation. They dropped down. And what they did really well was they actually got back together as soon as they could. It was like a game of zero build then at the end, wasn't it? Just everyone just trying to fight each other. But it was a really nicely played game from these guys, and a sign of hopefully for what's to come when it comes to the major finals. They now have first dibs on a drop spot that they can choose in terms of where what the drop map's going to look like. So we'll see how that can change as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a great game for them. I think Jewel, when you look at Jewel, especially Hyper and Jewel, both players who, again, you might not be familiar with them if you're watching EU. They're not players who are typically in the grand finals of FNCS as often. Hyper and Ghost making their first, Jewel's been in one. But they're players who are always making waves in like some of the previous rounds, like the semis and, you know, different group stages and whatnot. So the talent's definitely there. Hopefully we can see them apply it in the final.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how our Major 3 final lobby is going to be shaping up. We have 2 more teams to send through via Victory Royales and 5 more to confirm through consistency. So let's head into this break, and when we come back,